What's going on, guys? It's Jay, aka It's Ghost Story, back with another Phantom Parade video, this time with like my fourth time trying to record this. Today's going to be a little bit of a Illusory Tower rant. I'm going to try and keep my thoughts pretty cohesive. It's going to be in a similar rant vein as like the anniversary rant video. I probably have some gameplay thrown up for a little bit before I'm actually just, sitting around and just clicking around on the Illusory Tower screen. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. The current state of Tower hasn't been my favorite whatsoever. And my reason for thinking this is along this line of thought. Floor 81 and 90 showed very clearly that the way the devs are creating tower-based content is centered around Power Cliff and only Power Cliff. Now, it is an issue, in my personal opinion, that the main form of content in this game, the main updated content in this game, the main advertised difficult content is centered around power creep, and how majority of players aren't going to be able to get over that hurdle. And I feel like overall, that's hurting Phantom Parade as a game. And it kind of disheartens me because, as you guys know on this channel, Illusory Tower is my favorite mode. I love playing Illusory Tower. I replay a ton of Illusory Tower for my showcases in specific. But the problem is so blatant, I just can't ignore it. I feel like, again, we keep escalating, and all Tower does is just get more and more and more restricting, until one day we're just going to hit like floor 100, and the only way you can beat floor 100 is like, okay, you can only bring one unit, not even a wreck bit, and you gotta thug it out against like a 300 million health Maharaga. Good luck. Something like that. Something ridiculous. Because understandably, every single 10 stages they added had like this extra layer of difficulty thrown into it. But there's only so much extra difficulty you can add to tower stages before it's like, okay, this is getting more tedious than it is just like being an extra layer of challenge. I've had this conversation with other content creators in the space, and also y'all as well, that floor 81 and 90 doesn't really feel that fun because it feels so restricting. And I've spoken to y'all about the floors in the 81 and above era, and a lot of y'all just feel like, oh, I can't beat such and such floor because I don't have insert unit, or if I don't pull insert unit, I won't be able to clear insert floor, or if I don't have insert unit, I'll probably be able to clear it, but you would need heavy investment in older units that some people may not even have in the first place. I mean, yeah, we do use the argument a lot on this channel. Like, you could use standard banner units, but then again, that also relies on the RNG of you getting a standard banner unit in question. I mean, on this channel, I've already told this example beforehand. For floor 85, I used Blue Nanami to assist my clear, and I feel like he was kind of like a very important part of that clear, because I don't have an Aobito. So Blue Nanami was a very key factor in that clear, but I didn't get Blue Nanami when he came to standard banner. I got Blue Nanami basically an entire 6 months afterward. So saying just wait for standard banner isn't really the greatest argument in the world, because again, once you get to these later tower floors, like just rocking around with like A1 or A0 or A2 units even don't really cut it unless like they're the most recent of recent units. And I feel like that's a problem, because nobody should be basically gate kept and time locked from the main updated content in the game because they aren't pulling all of the most main relevant units at the moment. And if that is going to be the case, there should be more base game difficult content for people to enjoy, because obviously these later tower stages that they're adding are so restricting, and I feel like the game isn't even big enough to justify all these restrictions. Now, mind you, if we had all these restrictions and we had like a way bigger roster with way more character variety, I would understand, because then you would be able to cycle through your options and justify, using different team comps and swapping out different characters. But some comps only really have 1 to 2 options at most. And for example, with the blue category, I mean, we don't have 0.2 Gojo as I'm making this video, but like, if you don't have Volume 0 Ghetto, if you don't have Miguel, if you don't have Blue Yuta, if you don't have 0.2 Gojo, all 4 of those units in question are limited units that play key factors into that color category's game plan for these later stages. And again, almost all of their roles are completely irreplaceable. I mean, for the most part. I mean, you can clear floor 81 without Yuta. Would it be a nightmare unless you're like a heavily invested whale into the game? Of course. But again, I feel like the game is too small to add such limitations where the main prevalent options for most people are limited units, and the average free-to-play, unless they like quite literally skip every single standard banner unit, and even then that's not optimal because there are amazing standard banner units that also come to the game. I mean, just like if we just think about it right now, I mean, come on guys. I mean, some people have skipped Choso. They live to regret about that. Shoko may have appeared twice, but for the people that did skip Yellow Shoko, I mean, they probably realize how much of a nightmare scenario that is, because there's so many Yellow Tower fours that just feel like absolute nightmares to play without her. And I mean, I don't even know how I could even justify in my head a floor 84 clear being possible without her. So content just feels entirely too restricting, not even in just a sense for free-to-play or light spenders, but even for whales like me. Like, I still feel that this chokehold that the game has on like your character selection is just a tad bit too much. And not only is it a tad bit too much, but it also kind of makes gameplay a little bit stale, because you're not using team variety. I think the fun part about Illusory Tower was, yes, we're beating these bosses, but we're also able to experiment with a wide variety of units. And we don't really get that anymore. So there's not really a great fun factor going on, because you hop into a floor, you click insert meta unit, you clap your hands when you fight the floor, you beat the floor, and now you have to go and do that again against a boss who probably has a just as annoying, or if not more annoying, mechanic than the previous boss, that also probably has like the most stacked health bar known to man. La-di-la-di-la-di-la, right? And I feel like as time goes on, we're going to see more people speak up about that, because I've been asking you guys recently, and I've also been seeing in my comments that a lot of people just wish that there was more ways to obtain cubes in a consistent manner that wasn't tower. And I feel like the answer isn't just tower bad. The answer is there needs to be more than tower, or just more tower per se, but not in the typical way. Now, obviously, I'm gonna establish this idea in my head. And to y'all, I feel like when Illusory Tower goes from floor 91 to 100, I think that form of Illusory Tower should end. And what I mean by end, I mean floor 100 should be something like probably really ridiculous, like maybe Maharaga. I mean, personally, I still think we deserve like a Sukuna boss fight. I wouldn't mind if they just like threw a Sukuna fight at like floor 100 and that's like the final big boss. But why would I want floor 100 to be the final floor? Because I would like them to expand into different versions of Tower. And what I mean by different versions is that, for example, games like Dokkan have their hard content, but they have hard content separated throughout the game through a lot of different event style formats. And I feel like Phantom Parade can do the exact same thing. So I feel like once we get to floor 100, they should kind of incorporate a thing where, again, for the sake of simplicity, I would call it like Extreme Illusory Tower, right? Where after you beat floor 100 or after you beat like floor 50 or floor 60, one of the major milestones for Tower, you unlock Extreme Illusory Tower. And it's basically, in my head, it would be like floor 60-ish and above level bosses, higher difficulty, more cubes, more rewards, just more content added on. But I wouldn't want that to be the only inclusion. Then there would be another side where I feel like not only could this idea that I have expand the story of Phantom Parade and seemingly the main antagonist that we have for the game being Rosetsu. I wouldn't mind if they took like the hypothetical what if storytelling they did for this anniversary for like showing like the alternate I guess timelines, and kind of incorporate an illusory tower where we're not fighting cursed spirits, but instead we are fighting the good guys. And Rosetsu is kind of using that to see through and see more of, I guess, the good guys and how they fight, so he can learn and he can adapt, stuff like that. Or even if they don't incorporate the story, they could just make a new illusory tower style, but just not just for cursed spirits. I mean, we've already fought human characters in the imaginary realm fights. I mean, we already have the Toji imaginary realm fight. We have the Ghetto imaginary realm fight. They're basically already in the game. And I feel like in terms of like cost efficiency, like what would, I wouldn't say make SumZap the most money, but what would be the cheapest thing for SumZap to do while also giving us content is making an illusory tower where we are fighting the pre-existing characters that are already in the game. All they would have to do is take said characters, throw them into the tower, and then make some fights out of them, because they already have the characters, they already have the animations, they already have the models. Just make them into an AI that we could slapbox with, right? And I feel like it could be fun. Like if we could fight, the Shibuya Yuji and Shibuya Todo, or we fight the Goodwill characters, or we fight against I was about to say the Disaster Cruiser. We already do that, except no doggone respect. But or fight against like Nanami and Ino, or we could fight against Inumaki, Panda, and Maki. The whole 9 yard, or we could fight against Yuta and Rika. Other fun stuff like that. Or even like a Survive Gojo style tower floor where it's like, okay, Gojo's coming at you. You got to survive for like 9 turns. And then when you survive for 9 turns, he gets bored and dips. Or let's say it's kind of like a speed rush type of event where Gojo is charging up Hollow Purple. You have X amount of turns to take out Gojo or break his break bar or do something along those lines. And then after you do that, he leaves. Something like that. Fighting Toji. We've already done that before in the game. They could just add that. Or we already have these style of events in the game. We have formidable foes. We fought Mechamaru before. We fought Maki. We fought Panda. We fought Mai. We fought Momo. We fought so many people that are humanoid characters in the game. We fought Toto. These are already pre-existing characters in the game. Just reuse them, make new content, make new intro, beginner-friendly content using these pre-existing things that are already in the game, and we would do fine. Instead of just making us wait months for, in quotation marks, new content, when in all actuality, it's not really new content. Because mind you, they reuse a lot of bosses in this game. Most of the time, they will reuse a boss and just swap out their colors, or better yet, they just won't do that in the first place, and it would just be a copy and paste of another boss from a previous floor. So instead of just throwing in the lazy factor of just copy and pasting bosses, or just color swapping bosses, Let us fight bosses that we haven't fought before, but we already know are in the game, that we're familiar with. Like, listen, man, I know it sounds like a hard experience, but I think it would be funny to fight a Yuji boss and maybe get slapped around for a couple black flashes. I don't know. Sounds a little funny to me, you know? And it could also open the door for different boss mechanics, because I'm sure people are annoyed of getting smacked by stun by every single boss, smacked by darkness by every single boss. Especially stun, because it feels like every single boss in the game has to have some type of stun. We need more variety, man. Like, oh, congratulations, we have now added the 10th consecutive boss in the row that eliminates my damage turn, or eliminates my buff turn, or eliminates my ult turn. So, such engaging gameplay, you know? I just feel like we need more options. And that could be added. Like when floor 91 to 100 happens, add in Extreme Tower. And I feel like if you were to start like Extreme Tower, the difficulty I would go with is like make like the intro stages the same difficulty as the limited tower floors. So I feel like the limited tower floors are kind of perfect, because limited tower floors are like a balance between the free fun freedom that the 60s had, where you weren't limited to just mono, but at the same time, if you did use mono, you would clear on the relatively easy side. But for the people that didn't have like all the best of the best units, they still could make something happen at some point, right? Same with the limited tower floors, where yeah, having the best of the best units can definitely help in your clears, but you can also just clear these floors with just some sheer amount of creativity and some willpower attached to it. You know what I'm saying? So, plus, like with the 80s, it is so blatantly anti-free-to-play. Like, I'm gonna be so honest, guys. The forced 30-turn limit and like basically removing stalling as an option as a whole is super anti-free-to-play. And I have a feeling it's because of the people that used Honored One Gojo to stall floor 79 for 99 plus turns. Well, listen, Sums Up. If somebody's willing to sit and boringly stall a boss for 99 plus turns for a clear, just give them their flowers. Because I certainly wouldn't do that. I'd lose my mind. But if somebody's willing to do that, if they are willing to sit there and do the 99 plus turns to clear the stage, let him have it. Okay? Don't punish the entire player base into this forced 30-turn nonsense. Mind you, we've already technically had that, but you know, the bosses obviously got so powerful they would one-shot you in the 70s. But this is like, okay, you make it to 30, the game ends no matter what, so you can't stall. And it is so anti-free-to-play out of the wazoo. And again, if it's meant to be punishment for players who are going 99 plus turns, you're punishing another large portion of the player base that is probably going to take weeks, if not unironically months, to get to this content in the first place, just for when they even get close to this content, for it to be power clipped by another tower floor update where you're going to release another stupidly overpowered unit to make people summon for, so they can clear this new stupidly ridiculous content that's only going to be backed up by more stupidly strong units to use for those said new floors. So my conclusion is, and I've been saying this throughout the whole video, make more tower stages. Add more variety. Let us fight some Jujutsu High personnel. Let us fight some Kyoto School personnel. Make a new one that attribute it to the story. Combine it with the story. And then make an extreme version of Tower where like you can keep the difficult content rolling, but make it reasonable. Make people have options. Where like there is an options for the players that enjoy that, you know, extreme difficulty that these floors have. Like, I don't hate the difficulty on these floors. I would just like an option, you know? I would like more options, because when I play this game, I hop on and it's like, oh man, I can't wait to go through my 30 turn misery simulator. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my suggestion for Illusory Tower. Let us fight some Jujutsu sorcerers and like a new rebranding of Tower that like a tribute to Rosetsu's story as a character, and make an extreme version of Tower where it's like, okay, this is very blatantly like, oh yeah, this is like the difficult of difficult content. Like, this is Illusory Tower Red Zone we got going on, right? I don't know. That's my suggestions. I decided to just kind of let this ramble get out of my head. I've been thinking about it a lot recently. Let me know what you guys think. How would you guys approach either fixing Tower or expanding on it? Obviously, you guys know I cleared Tower content on the channel for fun, but there's obviously better things that can go on with the game, and some of just, I guess, the design philosophy and going into these future towers is so skewed, I just can't agree with it. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have a similar idea as me, where you think we should get more tower stages, but not in the same, you know, like it shouldn't just go 91 to 100 and then 101 to 110 and keep going and escalating? You want separate towers? Or maybe you want something different entirely. Maybe you're just tired of Illusory Tower in general. Or maybe you're one of the players that you don't play Tower, you just play the game casually. What do you guys want? Or for the players that don't really play Tower, what would make you want to play that part of the game? Because I know there is a lot of people, and I've had these back and forth in my comment section, especially when I'm talking about the meta for units, and they'll be like, Illusory Tower doesn't matter. And I'm like, how does the main content in the game not matter? But that's besides the point. Let me know what you guys think. Talk with me, okay? It's been Jay, aka It's Ghost Story. Thank you for, as I'm recording this video, over 600 subscribers. And I will see you guys later.